How do we know that God has appointed a specific person? It is a necessity that God Almighty appoints a vicegerent at all times. God must mention him in a text. He must be the most knowledgeable, and God necessarily commands the people to obey him. But how is it possible for God Almighty to appoint someone in a text? Sayyid Ahmed Alhasan says in the book Ideology of Islam, the matter began with a direct text from God Almighty mentioning Adam, the first hujjah, or proof, because he is the first of God's hujjas, or proofs. Then the matter shifted to a text in which the preceding hujjah mentions a later hujjah, whether this hujjah was present at the time of his predecessor or later on. The predecessor's testimony in the text or will is clear evidence for identifying his successor. The first matter, which is God mentioning the hujjah in a text, still remains and hasn't ceased. It is a way to identify the vicegerent of God along with the text issued from the preceding vicegerent. But how is it possible for God Almighty to directly mention a person in a text? Sayyid Ahmed Alhasan said in the same book, the direct text from God is communicated through inspiration, just as God inspired the angels regarding the vicegerency of Adam. The means of inspiration that is available for and can be heard by all people is the visions, whereas the text from the preceding vicegerent is in the form of a will, whether the successor is appointed immediately or subsequently. So there are ways to appoint a vicegerent of God which include a text from God or a text from a preceding vicegerent, whether direct or indirect. It can be a text that manifests through inspiration, as the means of inspiration available to you and every person is truthful visions, whether they occur while asleep or awake. We also know that God specifically identifies this person through a will left by the preceding vicegerent, whether he is an immediate or subsequent successor. But is it possible to rely on a vision alone without a text from a preceding vicegerent, or to rely on a vision that contradicts the text? The answer, of course, is no. Sayyid Ahmed Alhasan says, the text from God must be in agreement with the text from the preceding vicegerent. So whoever claims that he possesses a text from God or a testimony from God that does not agree with the text or provides a text from a preceding vicegerent is a liar. A text from a preceding vicegerent is more evident and obvious to people than the testimony of God in the heavens. This is because people are forgetful of God's heavens and are preoccupied and accustomed to the materialistic world, so they ask for a text from their own world and not from the world of heavens, of which they know nothing and are unaware. We are now aware of everything we need to know related to the text. It is part of the law of identifying the vicegerent of God in every era. We are yet to know the meaning of being the most knowledgeable and the meaning of commanding the religiously accountable people to obey him. Stay tuned for the next episode.